Hi guys, so today's video is going to be a non-spoiler book review for The Stranger by Harlan Coben. I primarily read fantasy, and this story is not fantasy. It takes place in our own world. It's essentially mystery, and I don't tend to read those kinds of books. Not that I have anything against them, I just generally don't gravitate towards those. But I felt it was worth mentioning because I am very much not well-versed in mystery novels. I think it's something that, is worth taking into consideration as you listen to me talk about this story. I feel like I don't really know what is a typical trope of the genre. I don't really know the kinds of writing styles that are generally associated with mystery stories, but I will say I had a lot of fun with this book and it definitely surprised me. The setup for the story is that we follow our main character, Adam, who at the beginning of the book is just kind of hanging out with some other parents. He's a father, 2 kids, got a wife, and this random stranger approaches him and says, "Hey, your wife faked a pregnancy. Here's a website you should check out, and here's a transaction from a couple years ago you should really look into." And that just spirals into a whole lot of interesting, weird, crazy events. It's definitely the kind of book that pretty much the end of every single chapter makes you want to read the next chapter. It kind of always leaves off on a cliffhanger, and you get to know our main character pretty well. It is told mostly through his point of view, but at a certain point, you actually start to get a few other point of views, and the story starts to expand. So when I was first reading this, it felt, I don't know how else to describe it. It felt a little basic, and I wasn't sure how much I was going to enjoy it. It didn't really seem like there were going to be tons of different layers or tons of different solutions to whatever the heck was going on. And generally, if I'm reading something that's sort of a mystery, I want to constantly be enthralled in thinking, what the heck? Who was it? What's going on? And then there's a new twist and you're like, wait, what? That's crazy. And for a while within this book, I didn't think that's what it was going to be. But we get to a certain point where I was like, ah, dang, oh shoot, what is happening? And then things really started to pick up. I was definitely way more intrigued. And then that kept happening. More things kept coming up. And it didn't feel cheap. It didn't feel like the author was trying to shock me. It just felt like more pieces of the puzzle were coming forward. And then at the very end, I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I don't typically pick up this genre, so I don't know what is really considered to be, oh, this one is a lot more fun and this one's a lot more serious, or this one feels a little bit more literary. I don't really know how to associate that as much as somebody else who's read the genre, but I would say that this one had a very basic writing style. Our author mentions a lot of things that are pretty modern, like iPhones and places to eat, just kinds of things most of us as Americans, because this takes place in America, are very familiar with, which I think definitely made it feel very realistic. I never thought, oh, this is so over the top and it's like a soap opera. I never felt like that. But I also think that it wasn't a historical mystery. It wasn't a fantasy mystery where there's so many other elements that could be coming into play. It very much was just a guy living in a town with his wife and kids who has an iPhone, and his kids are just regular teenage boys. And it was like that. It felt very grounded. And it was very digestible, very easy to get into. And like I said, at first I was thinking it was going to be a little basic, but what he ends up doing, how all the different threads come together, I thought were really well done. It was, I thought, really enjoyable. I do want to kind of tip my hat to the author in a very, about something that I think maybe is kind of silly and that you actually expect all the time from authors, but the character felt so like a real person that for a long time I couldn't tell if that was the character or if it was the author's voice coming through. And anytime that the character annoyed me, I was like, I don't really know if I like this. I don't know if I like this. But then I was like, wait, that's just the character though. That's how the character is. And then I actually felt more connected to the character, even though every now and then he annoyed me or other characters would annoy me. I was like, that's what real people are like though. And then I really appreciate it. And I definitely think if I were to pick up another Harlan Coben book, the next character that I would encounter would be drastically different from this main character. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but like I said, it felt so much like a real character that at first I thought it was just the author and that was just what he thought. But really, I think it's just he did a really good job of making the characters feel like real people. Overall, I thought this book was really fun. When I really think it hit its stride, I definitely didn't really want to put it down. I wanted to know what the heck was going on, and I wanted to know how all these new pieces that were being presented to us, how that had anything to do with what was going on with our main character. And I liked it. I had a lot of fun with it. I do think it's very easy to get into, so if you are looking for a fun weekend read, or if you are looking for something to just kind of take your mind off of the density of some of the other things you're reading, this is a great book for that. It was very fun. I also would like to add, surprisingly, not fun. It definitely had another emotion toward the end that I don't want to say because I don't want to spoil anything, but it pulled more of just this was a good time. It got more out of me than just that. Anyway, that is it for my very short, very brief, and very not particularly knowledgeable review of The Stranger. Let me know if you guys have read the story. Let me know what you thought of it. And if you have other fun, kind of good, I'm gonna sit on the couch and cozy up type mystery stories, I would love to know. And then if you have any really serious, intense ones, maybe even kind of scary ones and spooky and thriller type ones, let me know that too. But anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.